It's Board Game Vibe time again, episode 7, and we're doing 10 Days in Asia. Part of the 10-day series, similar and slightly different each one. We're looking at this one, Mensa Select, so possible warning in some cases for some games, so let's have a look and a discussion about 10 Days in Asia. So when you open the box, you obviously get some rules. Rules are fairly clear, explicit, not that many because the game itself is pretty straightforward. And obviously under the rules are the bits. The bits, you get some card holders and fairly solid cards, which lets you as a player set up your cards. I've got an example here. Now clearly the game is called 10 Days in Asia and we've got 10-day cards there. And you also get a nice board, which we'll come back to later with some close-ups. The actual cards themselves, you'll have basically cards for each particular country. There's one of each, except for some countries such as China and Russia there, where there's a star, which means there are 2 copies of that card. And for this particular game, we have 3 types of transport cards. Railroad, Pacific Ocean and plains in different colours which connect countries of similar colour. So that's it. The board is interesting itself because, and we'll get onto this quite soon, you don't actually need to touch it or use it or put things on it. It's just for about linking. So let's have a think about this. So the game really has 2 components. One is you spread the cards out and then you select the cards one at a time and try to place them in your 10-day slots to get a head start in connecting the cities. So trick for new players is obviously don't spread it out on the actual board because you can't see where the connections are, which is another reason not to use the board and such. And then once you've done that, you form 3 piles, and so the game mechanic basically is you pick up either a face-up card or the one from the stack, I guess, face down. If you're wanting one of the cards, then you compare it to what's in your particular 10-day slots, and then you can replace one card from one slot and replace it. Repeat, rinse, wash, etc. until you have a linked 10 Days in Asia, as we have here. So if I clear the map with my arm, we have Israel to Russia. The plane is based on the same colour, so that lets me fly there. Russia to China, you can walk to adjacent countries, so that works well. China railroad to North Korea, as you can see there. Obviously, this is not meant to be an aesthetic journey, it's more about the linkages, and this is all the map is providing, just what are the logical linkages between countries. Pacific Ocean, I've used the example to get to Vietnam, and as I was desperate for a quick example here, I've used the Pacific Ocean again to get to Singapore. I've completed my 10-day trip, and it's yippies all round. One problem with the actual board is the fact that I find the left-hand side is very complicated, such that it's very hard to actually understand the connections. They've even shown you here a little diagram to help identify it. So rather than being able to see nice, big, large relationships as you have on the right-hand side of the board, you tend to be leaning over trying to work out how does Cyprus connect to Lebanon, and it gets very annoying. And the fact is, as you can probably guess from the game mechanic, you don't actually need the board. Nothing actually gets placed on the board. It's just there purely as a reference of linkages between countries. So it's probably better just to have it as an A3 sheet so people can actually read it and scribble on it and do stuff like that. Probably not as exciting as a product to hand out, having A3 bits of paper, but might be a better way to use it. I must admit, I find that I'm still unconvinced in this game. There's a bit of downtime, which I don't really enjoy. I actually like using boards in board games rather than just looking at them as a reference. You could probably put this one on a wall, actually, rather than on the table. The one advantage I've found with this game is if you've got an understanding local restaurant, you can actually play it while having tapas or something like that. It's quite fun because, one, you've got the card holders, and the cards are quite strong, and because of the downtime, that becomes an advantage. You can actually chat. So 10 days in Asia, rather than a 1 to 10, I give it a rating. I've played it, I think, about 10 times, which is probably enough. I'm not really engaged enough to seek out the other examples in this theme. I've played it, I've experienced it, probably recommend the same with someone else's copy, but I'd probably get some other games. That's the vibe.